Thanks for making time, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for
Pleasure.
having us.
I'll start with a big question first, and we can get into specifics from there. What have you learned about how to keep fit while touring?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, like being veterans in the game, when you're young, you start off, it's all about fun, wild times. But as you get older, you realize how important it is to take care of yourself, especially when touring on the road, because, doing back to back shows, things can catch up with you really quickly. So it's super important to take care of the body. I mean, me personally, I like to do every morning. I get up, first thing I do, coffee, 60-minute walk. You know, I'm into the gym, so I hit the gym, and then just eating healthy. For myself, I just find like when the diet is good, you feel better. You know, clean life, good life. So yeah, those are kind of the fundamentals. Like it's not rocket science, but it makes a massive difference, especially as you kind of get later into the whole music game.
Anything to add to that, Esther?
Yeah, mate. You can't be doing what we're doing at our age without taking care of yourself. It's a bit of a testament. I'm pretty proud of us to be able to make it this far in such a cutthroat industry. Where a lot of other artists and groups fall off and they run out of the steam. But we're going strong, and it's important for us all to get our good night's sleeps after shows. It's the best. It's the first thing we want, really.
We're doing the little LeBron James thing here. You know what I mean? It's all about longevity. And like Macca said, it's easy to fall off the wagon, especially in music. You know what I mean? How many stories do you hear about bands breaking up or not making the distance for a variety of reasons, but health is a big one. It's incredibly taxing and tolling on the body.
We would love to have our shows during the day.
Yeah.
But it's always late nights and packing up, early in the morning. So you really got to have a body on you and a head on your shoulders to handle all of that.
That's it.
It sounds like that's quite a departure from your attitudes when you were coming up and starting out in the game, where it is all about the excitement of the nightlife and what the night can entail. When did that start to change for you? Do you remember a time when it started to flip, where you started to prioritize health over, playing at nighttime, shall we say?
Yeah, sure. But the big one for me was drinking. I kind of came into the industry already a bit of a drinker, but if you come into the industry with demons, they just fuel it and fire it up for you. So before I knew it, it was a little out of control there, because when we're doing 3 or maybe 4 shows a week sometimes, there's 6 cases of beer there and bottles of vodka. So the devil's waiting there on the sidelines. But yeah, it would just to make it a real quick story. We went to Afghanistan to play for the troops. I didn't want to go over there. I want to be closest thing to war, Call of Duty on my couch. But the boys constantly were just like, man, this is going to be an amazing experience. You don't want to miss out on it. But I was aware that there were dry bases over there, so there wasn't going to be any drinking. So the boys pushed me to do it. We went over there. It was an amazing experience. Long story short, that's where I just kind of said,
cold turkey.
Yeah, I got to hit it on the head. We did a whole tour of Canada. It was like 10, maybe 12 days of like getting off it, which was hectic. It was in and out of hospitals, straight from hospital onto stage. But yeah, after like 15 days, it was all gone, and we all met up in Las Vegas, and I got married, and we drove off into the sunset on ATVs and M16s.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That's such a great story, and I love how honest and upfront you are about that sort of thing, which I think a lot of people get a lot out of, the fact that men like yourselves can speak frankly about topics which a lot of other men find hard to do, which is how much they're drinking, how it's affecting their health and their relationships.
Sure.
Has that opening up, that honesty and vulnerability, come easily to each of you?
I mean, we've written songs about this, like we've got a song called Devil on My Shoulder, which kind of encapsulates a bit of what Macca was talking about, myself.
The song Believe.
Believe, yeah. Like it's not just physical health, it's also mental health, So we found kind of like the songs that connect and resonate the most with people are when you're just upfront, forthright, and frankly vulnerable. Like just be truthful about it, because the amount of fans that come up to us like, man, I've been going through the same thing, or like this hit home, or whatever. It's incredible. That's when you see people in tears when they come and meet you at shows, or they have tattoos of a lyric that means the world to them about bettering themselves. And that's an amazing feeling, like when you could, it's the beauty of what we do, I guess, as artists, is just sharing our story through this art form, which then hopefully can resonate with someone else. So it absolutely comes, it applies to, physical and mental health. Absolutely.
Does that sort of response still surprise you? You've been doing this for a while and you're extremely popular and very good at what you do, but hearing those one-on-one stories from people who come up to you and speak vulnerably about how your art has helped them, does that still kind of take you aback?
That's the cherry on the top right there. Like, I mean, you write these rhymes, alone in your room, just to yourself, imagining someone listening. And it's a overwhelming feeling to think that someone else is going exactly through what you're saying. I mean, someone came up to me once and they didn't have to say a long speech. He just came up to me and went, "You say what I think." And that said it all. It was like, if these guys are thinking this stuff and can't say it, and we're the guys out there saying it and they're relating to it, and then it allows them to get it out. I mean, that's more than music. That's magic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely breaks down barriers, especially more with maybe males, not being able to open up about stuff. So when they see an artist that they admire or, idolize or are a fan of or whatever it is, they feel like it's okay to talk about this stuff, or like, man, if he's going through it, I mean, this is what I've been dealing with. So, I can relate, and maybe I can take something from this that I can better myself from. So it's definitely an amazing feeling. It doesn't really get old, to answer your question. It's just, it's something that resonates inside you. Go, man, it feels like you're grateful to be able to do what you do and connect on this level with people. Yeah.
Essa, you were very honest earlier when I asked you about that tipping point or that transition moment where you went when you started to prioritize your health. What about you, Bliss? Do you recall when in your life you started to think differently about how to treat yourself?
Yeah, man. There was a point where I had just been going in the roller coaster of Bliss and Esso and like the kind of rock star life for so long, and I had just let my health kind of slip, and I was like 20 kilos heavier than I am now. I was eating terribly. I was partying, drinking, all stuff. And I just remember like one day I was like looking in the mirror and I was just really disappointed in myself. And I'm like, man, I'm better than this. I can better myself, and I don't have to live this way. And it kind of gets old after a while as well. Like you start like just not enjoying it. And I just started diving into, like the whole health and fitness world. I started like researching about, just simple things like macros. And I actually started on a keto journey, which was amazing because that taught me all about, the thing is, in school, I'm amazed I don't know if it's changed now, but certainly when we were in school, they don't teach you fundamentals about nutrition. Like, I had no idea what the difference between a fat, a carb, and a protein is, and the balance between them and what they do in conjunction with each other and separately, and insulin and all these kind of things. I had no idea how the body reacts to it. So, and I had no idea how to read like nutritional information on food or understand what it was. And so that was a huge learning curve for me. And from there, I kind of got into it. And as I just stayed dedicated with, just the regime of exercise and eating well, I started to see the difference. I remember one time, Essa hadn't seen me in a while, and I walked in and I had dropped like 15 or 20 kilos. And he was like, dude, like, and especially with people that haven't seen you for a while, and they kind of see it. And those little things reinforce yourself, like, you're on the right track, like, because you might not see it so gradually yourself, but when someone doesn't see it for a while, they can really notice that black and white difference. And then also just the way you're feeling. It was like, I just started feeling better. I was getting up early in the morning. I just started changing my lifestyle habits, and it goes all hand in hand with, diet and exercise and just health in general. So it was kind of that was the big turning point for me. And I wished I had been taught this stuff in school earlier, because it's fundamental to being a human, and they don't really teach it. Like, it was certainly not for us. So, that's my journey with it. Yeah.
How old would you have been at that time when you made that decision?
It was probably early 30s, to be honest. Yeah, like I had been on the roller coaster for a long time, and it's you kind of like you don't realize in a lot of ways that you're doing anything wrong, like because no one had kind of taught me this other side, or you always hear about like healthy lifestyle or whatever, but when you haven't applied it yourself, you don't fundamentally know how different you will feel, like how much better you will feel with a healthy lifestyle. So that was like yeah, that journey was a huge thing. And then, as I said, the momentum builds because you start feeling better, you start performing better, you start like improving in all different facets of your life, including like your writing or what we do, like just the energy levels, everything. So it's like a snowball effect.
Dropping 15 kilos or 20 kilos is a dramatic change in anyone's life.
Mm.
What worked for you? What were the kind of key factors that helped you to lose that weight?
Well, yeah. So for like I said, the first big one was the ketogenic diet, which I'm no longer on because it's probably a hard thing to maintain for a long period of time. I found because it limits you quite drastically in what you can eat. But like I said, that was the catalyst for me understanding macros and nutrition. But yeah, that was what initially did the drops because of course it's a low carb diet. So you're not, you're not secreting insulin the whole time and retaining all the fat. So I dropped quite dramatically. And then once I switched from keto, it was just understanding, okay, cool. Understanding when to eat carbs. They're obviously important when you're going to get back on more of a normal traditional diet. It's just understanding those macro levels. And for me, having a some kind of cardio and weight regime is really important, just to kind of maintain that balance. So yeah, I guess it would be early 30s, and then that was kind of the way that I got into it. Yeah.
And you're 45 now, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe a weird question, but Esso, what did you notice looking at your friend and bandmate when he started making these huge life changes? What did you think and feel?
It's amazing, man. It's amazing because no one can tell the person to do it.
Yeah.
It's on them. And so when Jonathan made that change, I was seeing it not only physically, but like he was mentally more there. The friendship became stronger. And just for the band in general, we got our guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of the best things ever, man, because like I was saying before, this is such a cutthroat industry, and for bands to last 2 years is a miracle. And for us to have gotten into this when we were teenagers, and then going off in our own life journeys as well, and still being able to have this unity as a band, and still be healthy and still being able to do this and create new albums and go on huge tours. This is what we dreamed of as kids. So it's the best.
That's so good to hear. And to flip it the other way, Bliss, what did you notice about how Esso's life changed after he quit drinking?
It's hard, I guess, to totally fathom the change because you kind of had to be with us at the time of the wild times, right? To really see. We were all crazy, but this guy was like another level. And it was like, I was so proud of him. I put it in my lyrics in Devil on My Shoulder, like I told him how proud I was of him because it wasn't easy. And like, he did fight us to go to Afghanistan. He didn't want to go. And I knew he was scared because he knew it was a dry zone. And I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, this could be the start of something. Obviously it was his decision. It was all on him. He had to go through that. And he, to see him come out the other side, because it was a horrific few weeks, that he had to go through physically, mentally. I remember him in bathtubs, DJ-ism, shit, trying to shower him, going, it was hectic, the physical withdrawals from it. Yeah. So, and like he just said about me, it's like, I got my guy back too, because when we started as teenagers, it wasn't that level of wildness, Sure, there was like, dipping in and out of fun and stuff, but it was all about the music. It was all about the funny times. Like, we loved comedy, we loved hip hop. It was just that connection. And when it gets wild, sometimes you kind of go on your, the wild journeys, you kind of lose a bit of that. People get moody with each other, all types of stuff. So it was a beautiful thing, man. And also, like, it helped. I had previously done a lot of the more managerial stuff, working, in the background, making sure stuff got done, not just outside of the artist. After Macca made that change, it was incredible to see how much more hands-on he got with all that, and started helping me, and we started being more of a team, rather than me more organizing stuff and everything, and DJism and SO just being more artists. Now it's really a true partnership, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? So it's just been great all the way.
How many years sober have you got now?
This is my 11th.
Fantastic.
No, this will be my 12. I've done 11. And I remember saying to DJism, he was like, dude, you're on 6 days. That is huge.
Yeah.
You've got to pat yourself on the back. I'm like, 6 fucking days? No, man. I want like 10 years. And he's like, you'll get there, man. So to be sitting past that is just...
As you mentioned earlier, the music industry is rife with alcohol. It's kind of a payment form early on. Sometimes you get paid in booze instead of in money.
Yep.
How have you both, as the band, how have you carried the sobriety going forward? Is it something that you have to navigate? Do you have like rules backstage, or is it just a personal journey?
You got to navigate it a bit. It's on you, and it'll be on you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to crumble if you walk into a room of people drinking, you lose.
Yeah.
So you've got to navigate it yourself. I've got to be able to be cool to walk into a room and people are drinking and absolutely be fine with it. If the drinking is absolutely out of control and they're drunk, I tend to just kind of leave the room. I don't hang around too many drunk people. But yeah, man, it's tough, and it's always a struggle every day. But it's living in this country too. It's not just the music industry. It's like wherever you go here, it's drinking. Whether it's funeral, whether it's a wedding, whether it's an event, everything. So yeah, it's a constant navigating it, staying on top of it, which feels good to be able to keep knocking out.
Yeah, 100%. It's like a reinforcement thing, like you said. It's like you've gone this far, you've done this much strength, and I remember like it probably at first it was a little bit more sensitive, like with people just being around alcohol in general. But I can see the strength in Macca get stronger and stronger and stronger, where it's been like he's had more power within, and things don't affect him or let him bother him as much. Obviously, when it's out of control, like anyone would be like, I don't want to be around this. But just for myself, like, man, after a while, it's just like, because we go on to have so many shows. It's like you walk into another backstage room and there's this huge smorgasbord rider of everything you can imagine. And it's kind of like you get over it after a while. It's like, no, I don't even feel like drinking tonight. Like I know what this will feel like in the morning when I've got to get up early to get into the, packed up, to get into the van, to go to the airport, to get on the flight, to get into the next van, to get to the hotel, to pack down, to go do the meet and greet, to go back, get ready for the show, to do a huge, crazy hour-and-a-half show where we're jumping around like maniacs. It's like, I don't want to put myself through it. And don't get me wrong. Like for me personally, I'll pick my spots where I'll have some fun, but it ain't all the time, because I just don't want to feel like that. So I think, and I think like half the battle is just like having that experience sometimes you got to go through the down to get back to the up, you got to take these lessons with it. It's just part of life. So yeah, 2 different journeys, but like both lots of similarities,
Yeah, I love that. Have you found, Esso, that since being so public about your situation, you've had other artists and industry people come up to you backstage and quietly kind of talk to you about their own issues? Have you become like a beacon for people who need help?
Sure. Not so much other artists, but the fans. I get DMs every day.
Yeah.
Every day, whether they're showing me their sobriety coin, whether they're telling me it's a couple of months they've been off the piss. Whether it's them not getting off the piss, wanting to get off the piss, asking me, a few things to help them, which can be a little confronting when all these people are kind of asking you what to do. I'm not a therapist. I'm a rapper. I know how to put it into raps. So it gets a little difficult to try and explain to people what you've got to do for your exact journeys. But I always just kind of, get back to them and say, you're strong enough to do this. You know, it's all a mind game. You're going to feel like you don't want to do it in the morning. The afternoon's going to come and your brain's going to try and trick you to say, no, it's okay. You've got to kind of, so without going too therapeutic with them, I just kind of say, you know, you've got what it takes. Everyone can do it. You've just got to have the strength. The first one I do say is that this is the hard one. You can't be around people that are doing it. And
take yourself out
if
of
your
the
base
base,
is if everyone in your friend base is doing it, that's a toughie because you've got to isolate yourself a little bit. And there's, you know, but yeah, it's for them to constantly be asking for help or a bit of guidance, and I can give them a little bit of a road to follow is wonderful.
I think as well, like what helps is like from another person's perspective, like they're looking at Macca like rock star, dude in hip hop, mad crew, crazy lifestyle, surrounded by this lifestyle constantly. And they're probably thinking, man, if he can do it, I can if he can do it at that level with the devil and the temptations everywhere, why can't I do it? You know, so I think that's really powerful as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Switching topics slightly, in terms of exercise today, what are you both fond of? How do you like to keep fit, either on tour or off?
Yeah, like I said before, you know, like I love my morning walk. Just get started, you know, just something simple, and it's not a big mental hurdle to get over. You know, if hopefully the sun is shining, you get out there with the coffee, you rock the headphones, and you just go for a walk. It's not even a jog or anything. Sometimes I'll jog, but like it's really easy, especially just to get over the mental hurdle. You might be, you know, tired in the morning or whatever, but just gets the day started. Yeah, and like I said before, like I like to do, you know, split it up with a bit of weights during the week. Nothing too hectic, but and I keep my sessions short. That's a key for me. Is like I'm in and out in half an hour. I love to jump in the sauna afterwards. Like the sauna for me and the ice bath is like, whew, that's the new drug, you know. You know, like the stuff it like releases in the brain and everything, and what it does to the body. Like you feel amazing afterwards. So yeah, big key for me is keeping, especially when I'm doing the gym, keeping the session short. So even if I don't feel like it, I'm like, Johnny, all it is 30 minutes in and out. So like I'll get there and I'll be like, okay, cool. First couple of sets, get warmed up, and I'm just looking at the watch and it's just ticking down, and you kind of lose yourself in it. And before you know it, you're at 27 minutes and you're like, oh, boom, going to the sauna, baby, done. And you just tick that box, and it's like you feel good the rest of the day because you kind of feel like you've achieved a little something, which is good.
What about you, Esso?
I'm not so much of a gym man, but I'm a family man. I have to constantly take my bloody Kelpie dogs for walks along the beach. I live kind of up near Byron Bay Way. You know, I've got a 9-year-old son that keeps me on my bloody toes. I'm constantly trying to take him to basketball, and
that would be a lot. Yeah, like keep up with the energy.
So having a son and just trying to keep up with him is big. But yeah, like Johnny said, you know, those walks, and you know, if you don't move it, you lose it in this day and age. So
yep. And also, to be honest, the shows, man.
Like fuck,
we're doing full blown hit cardio sessions at every show.
We've got Danny Green on the side going, "How are you guys doing that?"
Yeah,
and we're like, "You're the bloody professional." Yeah, it's hectic.
Because the thing about our shows is that we're mad, all about energy, right? And we feed off the crowd's energy, and we are going, man. It's go time. So we like, there's so much jumping. It is constant back and forth body movement, and we don't just stand there like on a mic and just sing a song. We're moving all over the place. We're jumping around. We're going left to right, everything. So the shows, man, like, you know, especially on tour, it's like a massive cardio session. You know, I put my Apple Watch on one time just because I was interested. I was like, how many calories do I? It was like well over 1,000 calories for the show, which is a lot.
Yeah. That's really interesting about the nature of your shows. I'm wondering, I'm guessing and assuming that the shows have gotten maybe not easier to do, but they've gotten more physical and interactive since you guys have made those major life changes that we spoke about earlier. Is that correct?
I mean, look, we were always, since the beginning, very energetic.
Yes. Yeah. Even when I was drinking, the manager would kind of be like, "You're a little flat tonight. Have you had a beer yet? Get one into you, mate." Because it would, you know,
yeah.
But you got to learn to do that without it.
Yeah, I definitely, especially with the weight thing for me, like I definitely noticed the difference in especially just the endurance. Like I would get so puffed out, like when I was jumping around with carrying all that extra weight. So that has made a lot of difference. But it's always been an energetic show. But especially as we've gotten older, like it's 100% helped the healthy lifestyle, maintain it.
Hmm. Bliss, there's no two ways around saying this. You're jacked. You are completely shredded. But this is another weird question, but I'm going to ask it. Are you proud of how you look and how you present yourself in public?
Look, for me, it's because of where I was. I think it feels good to know that I did something about it and I stuck to it. Because man, I tell you, it takes fortitude. It really takes a mental strength to be disciplined. And it wasn't, at first, breaking out of those bad habits, it wasn't easy. But well, like I said, when you start seeing these little wins, like you start, and when I started, I did it with like a personal trainer, and he got me to take the before and progress photos and stuff, and also your weight checks, and I was doing DEXA scans and everything, so I could see the numbers. And I'm a numbers guy. I like to see the metrics. I like to understand everything, not just visually, but understand the science of it all. So getting those little wins definitely helped. Yeah, and like I'll be honest, man, you like if you feel good and you look good and you feel proud of yourself, it's a motivational force. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's a good thing because it gives you confidence within. And yeah, so it's a good feeling. But like I said, it's something you can't take for granted because you have to maintain it. I could slip right back and just be eating terrible and do all the wrong things again. So it's it's just like it kind of motivates you to keep going and once you kind of get into the routine, it's just staying there. That's all. So when I do feel like those days where I just can't be bothered, I'm like, just do a little something, just go for a walk. Half an hour, boom, put the headphones on, forget it, So just those little things. And so I'm not psycho about it, but I'll give myself slack, but I'll also just be like, just a little win, even if we're not feeling that good.
What about you, Esso? You've seen the before and after in your friends, and you see his willingness now and his happiness at taking his shirt off at gigs, for example. Does that make you proud to see the changes he's made in his life?
Yeah, of course, man. I see a younger dude that may have not have had that body and wanted to fucking wanted to have that body. So I mean, yeah, man. If you got it, gloat it, throw it around, mate.
Love that. Coming towards the end, maybe 15 minutes left. Touring involves a lot of downtime. There's a lot of waiting around. And that can be a time where you maybe slip into some bad habits, which you guys have spoken about already. What do you like to do with your downtime when you do have time to yourselves between sound check and showtime, those kinds of things?
I'm a big nap guy, man. I like to have my afternoon naps. I like to relax. I like to put on an NBA game. Yeah, it's just downtime for us, really.
Yeah.
Get the mind right. We used to, before going out into a show, you used to kind of bang heads like, yeah, you ready to go out there? Yeah. Now I just want to be in a rainforest, and a door just opens to the stage. You know.
It kind of is that way. So like we know each other so well. We've been doing this so long. It's like we could be barely say much words before the show, but that like 10 minutes before the show, we just like kind of look at each other and we just lock in. We're like, cool, boom. There's a set list. Let's go through it. Bang, because we know what we're about to do and we know the energy. As soon as we walk out there, that energy is going to be like that. We're going to lock in because our whole style is back and forth, feeding off of each other. So, yeah. So beforehand, like you said, man, it's like rest. It's like rest. I mean, obviously, I sprinkle in some exercise and just not doing too much because the touring lifestyle is hectic on its own. The travel takes its toll. So you want to be in that good kind of mindset. I like my quiet times. Like I love just to chill in the hotel beforehand, not hectic. It used to be back in the day, it's like every city you go to, you've got the set of friends, right? Because over years of touring, you build up all these friendships. Now to them, it's the one night of the year B&E's in town and they're excited as hell. They're ready to send it, right? But for you, you're doing this every city. So you're not looking at it in the same way. And back in the day, it used to be like, people would want to go party before the show, or like get rowdy before that. I mean, I can't even think about that right now, because that is a nightmare for me. Like, to think about not being with it here and feeling well before the show, because it's like we want to do the best job we can. And it's like, yeah, you've learned over the years, like, to do that and also to enjoy it. You want to be feeling good, man. Like, this, it's enough of a natural high. It's amazing. We get to do this, this music, and the fans are just the energy and everything. It's like, that's it. Like, that's the vibe. Like, and I don't want to mess that up.
What about the nature of touring means being away from home and being away from those closest to you? What have you learned about managing this kind of home and away aspects of touring, the lifestyle?
That's a tough one for me, because obviously the little man and the wife. But, I try and get them to as many shows as I can, if it's close, if it's up near Brisbane way. But, look, it's not like touring like in America, where you have 120 dates and you're away from home for like months. We'll do Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. I'm back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back in it. So it's all about balance when it comes to our shows, I think, and being able to have that time on the road, being able to come home to the family.
It's nice to have FaceTime too, like back in the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's all about balance for sure.
What about meditation? Is that a thing for either of you? Do you like to incorporate that into your daily routine?
I got into it heavily for a while, and it was good. I just do I used to do a morning one, but my mind is like, I jump around a lot, so I found it quite challenging, like, to really get into it. So now I just do the micro ones, like the really quick ones. In the shower, I just center myself and I do the whole light in your like in your head that travels all the way down to your feet and then all the way back up. You do about 4 of those, very short, but it's a nice little centering thing. But I don't do the whole like half an hour one in the morning. I used to, but it's just, it's not really for me. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm actually doing it right.
Yeah.
I'll be there on the beach with my legs crossed and my hands like this.
Yeah.
Not intensely for sure, but just those moments to be able to relax, put on some, I always try and find the healing hertz frequencies, and I just lay back and I'll listen to a bit of that. But the dogs are barking and the kids coming in asking for something too, so it's hard to find the time.
Love it. Thanks for that. And you're both upfront in your lyrics about your outlook on life and sharing your positivity in your music. Have you found any of the subjects we've spoken about today to be fruitful in your songwriting? You've mentioned a couple already, but this kind of positive, upbeat nature that you tend to have a lot in your music, have you found this has all been leading into the changes we've spoken about? Has that all led into your music in recent years?
I think we've always been positive. Like, positivity has always been a big part of what we do. But now we've been able to share our stories as well and bring into our personal experiences into it, which is kind of given it a whole nother dimension,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the albums, first one to the last one, you're watching a story. You're watching us grow up. Those first albums is like party, wildness. Then as you start hitting like album 5, album 6, you start seeing a bit of a shift where we start talking about the problems, and then album 7 is. I mean, it's all just one long story of how we've progressed and built ourselves up as humans from young kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like it's always been a big. If you look at the tattoos that gets put on our fans' skin, so many of them are about like inner positivity, something that resonated with them. But it's always got a positive spin to it. It's not like about something else. I think it's also a big reason I feel like we've cultivated this amazing fan base that has grown with us over the years and has stuck around, because it's about that upliftment, and we're giving the kids these messages, like, you believe you can achieve all this kind of stuff. And when it's applied to their life and they've got those little wins, it's like we're a part of the soundtrack to their life. So they stuck around. That's an amazing feeling.
Plus, I don't feel like the leaders or the people that the kids look up to these days are the people that they're supposed to be looking up to. I don't think they're looking up to their teachers or the politicians or the celebrities. You know, it's for a lot of kids, it's the rappers and the musicians that become their kind of religious, you know, way of living. You know, they buy the T-shirts, they rep it, they want to be able to say to the rest of the world that I'm a believer in Bliss and Esso music. It's crazy. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, that calls back to when you guys met in high school, right? You were the only two rap fans in your high school, and it was very hard to find any music or any merch back in those days. You just had like a shared connection and love for it. How different that is today, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm what's the word? I feel honored to know that we went through the hard route. We didn't have a YouTube tutorial or any videos to show us how to use a beat machine, how to do this. It was primitive caveman shit. We would buy a beat machine and have to figure it all out. What's a sampler? What's this? And when you do all the work and it's not given to you on a plate, you know, like they have the, you know, Australian Idol shows or something where it's your first time ever doing it and all of a sudden you're thrust out there and then you're pushed into a contract. Oh, that's got to be the worst. You know, you've got to be in a garage with your mates with shit instruments and make some shit songs and work it all out yourself.
Fumbling around in the dark.
Yeah, like we really had to create this, you know, by ourselves. But it's beautiful to see, like nowadays kids can just like find out, you know, how to make this beat or how to do this, and the information is there for them. But I'm glad we took the hard route.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke about songwriting earlier, and we're speaking ahead of your next album release in about 2 months. I haven't heard it yet. I haven't had the advanced copy in my inbox just yet. But is there any songs you wanted to highlight that have connected to any of the themes we've spoken about here today, whether that's health, well-being, sobriety, all that sort of stuff?
Oh, look, I think there's probably a few. So we've actually got, I can't actually say that. There's a song thinking there's definitely moments where we touch on things, not necessarily like, hey, eat healthy, you'll feel great, you know, but it's more like we want to speak to someone in a palatable way that is like, it means something to them, and it's not like we're preaching at them or talking at them. It's more like, hey, this is what I've gone through, or hey, this is what's helped me. But it's kind of say it in a cool way, you know what I mean? That's like honest, but also like it doesn't feel like it's some kind of, you know, teacher telling them something. So it's sprinkled all throughout, man. It really is. There's little gems here and there. We don't want to necessarily make a whole verse just about like, hey, eat good, you know, all that. Like it's more like you're just rapping or whatever, and you might drop a little gem of something, but it's all about the way you kind of say it that'll like hit someone and be like, damn, that's kind of dope, you know? So it's to answer your question, it's scattered throughout. Yeah, it really is.
Cool. I look forward to hearing it. And maybe lastly, you guys seem very aware of the fact that you are role models, not just for your fans and listeners, but for your family members, your son, Esso, the people around you. How do you kind of think about the impact that you're making through your artistry and how you carry yourself through life as public performers? It seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but tell me if I am, it seems to me you take it very seriously and you have a great attitude towards it.
How do we feel about being public performers? Is that what I mean?
Role models.
Oh.
That's a tough one because I don't want to feel trapped in that my son is listening, my son's teacher's listening, the parents at school are listening. Then I get very, very boxed in on what I can talk about. So as much as, you know, it feels good to be kind of role models for certain things, I definitely don't like to be boxed in. And my wife had told me, listen, when you go down and write for this next album,
be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what other people are thinking. You want to be dirty here, you want to be rude there, you want to be positive here, do it. And it allowed me to just not feel boxed in like I've got to be a role model or I've got to do this for these certain people.
Yeah.
You just have to allow yourself to be yourself.
Because, to be honest, like being an artist, like you need to feel free with it. And it's about having fun. Like we fell in love with hip hop because we just were having fun and we weren't thinking about all that. That came later naturally, you know? And I think that's the most important thing that hits people is when we just be ourselves. And if there's something that they take out of it, fantastic. But we're not sitting there thinking like, oh, I can't say this or
right.
like what, you know, because then it feels trapped and then it's not fun anymore. You want to keep it fun because if we're going to keep doing this, it's all about having fun. Like it's the best thing ever.